Many Bears fans are currently asking and wondering what the Chicago Bears are going to do about their running back room. Will they make a veteran offseason acquisition? Well, according to ESPN, seems like the Bears are going to roll into the season content with their running back room. We're talking about what that means for the team and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for today, y'all. And so there's been a lot of talk. J.K. Dobbins, Nick Chubb, and what the Bears can do to their running back rooms. But Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, for whatever it's worth, did mention that the Chicago Bears may be a little bit higher on their running back room than most think, which could lead them to not necessarily making a move. Now, we've talked about this almost ad nauseum on this channel in regards to the Bears at least going into training camp and just looking to see what they have with the roster that they have, right? Seeing what they can get out of this running back room with the improvements that they have on the offensive line. And it seems like the Bears are pretty high on Kyle Manangai and his chance to actually add something to this running back room as well. Now, I know this is not what a lot of Bears fans want to hear, right? I know the Bears fans, they look at what DeAndre Swift did last year or did not do last year, and they say, oh, we got to it's horrible. The Bears running back room is horrible. And here's what I'm here to tell you guys. No, it's not horrible. The Chicago Bears running back room is decent, and it could be above decent depending on the performance of the offensive line and how much better this team can perform behind that offensive line. Now, in no way am I saying that to expect DeAndre Swift to all of a sudden come in and be one of the most productive running backs in the league. Not saying that either. But when you look at the balanced attack, right, is that the Bears could very well get enough. Shane Waldron and his terrible-ass system and his terrible-ass play calling still found a way to get almost 1,400 yards from scrimmage from DeAndre Swift, over 900 of those being on the ground. So because of that, there is that area where this team with improvements on the offensive line can get you there, right? And the question, it's in the offseason, you're not going to be able to get everything that you want, right? I think that's just what it comes down to. Of course, the Bears were this close to almost getting everything they want. Had it been Ashton Jeanty falling, or had it been being able to trade up and get Trayvon Henderson, whatever it is, right? Is that, those things failed. It did not happen for the Bears. The draft board did not go that way for the Bears, but I think it still went a great way, right? Now, you did get Kyle Manangai, who I will say this, is that Kyle Manangai is a guy that you look at his tape, and he's going to have an opportunity to earn a role in this team. I think specifically his pass blocking is going to get him there. His ability as a tough runner to go out there and get between the tackles, something DeAndre Swift lacks to get. But even Manangai doesn't necessarily make this running back room the most sexy, right, when it comes down to the statistical output that you expect. But I do think Manangai is going to have a chance to earn a role, and it seems like the Bears are confident going into training camp of letting this thing play out, and then if they need to make a move to supplement, they will do. Now, the question is, what's that going to mean for Nick Chubb and J.K. Dobbins? Are they even still going to be on the market if they wait to get to that point? And that's a chance that the Chicago Bears are taking here, right? Is that you're taking the chance of giving you your time to fully evaluate these guys with the pads on in your building under this new coaching staff and DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson, Kyle Manangai, and seeing what they can do under a Ben Johnson system and an improved offensive line for the Bears. Ian Willer's going to be in that as well, for whatever that's worth and whatever he ends up showing for this Bears team. And the Bears are going to roll the dice on that and figure it the hell out. And, it is what it is. If the Bears end up missing, here's what I'll say. And this is not to knock Nick Chubb or J.K. Dobbins, because I think if those guys are able to be healthy this year, they absolutely upgrade the Chicago Bears running back room, right? But guys that are usually available this late into the free agent process, this close to training camp, they're either going to still be available or there's a reason why, right? And we know the reason why with these guys, injury concerns or things like that, but also running back depth around the league. There are running backs around the league that always wind up on the outside looking in just because of the depth at that position and how many new faces that you have come in just about every single year that can go in and contribute. And, the thing that a lot of us fans in sports do, right? Somebody said, hey, you ain't always got to make it just about Bears. So you ain't got to call us out like that, right? But that Bears fans, and fuck all that we do is that we look at things and we automatically try to make it a negative, right? We automatically try to make it, oh, well, it's not going to go because of this, right? And I don't get me wrong. I understand that pessimism. We're Bears fans. We're Bears fans through and through, and we've been through the goddamn ringer with this team more times than not, right? But, when looking at this running back room for the Bears, and looking at the fact that, the Bears didn't get it in free agency, they didn't get what a lot of people were hoping they were going to get in the draft, that does not mean that it still can't be productive. And also, I'll say this, it doesn't mean being productive is bad either, right? You don't have to have the most amazing running back room for you to have a productive running game. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people are missing out on. The Bears tried, right? We hear more and more every day that the Bears legitimately tried. Jeremy Fowler in the same report did say that the Chicago Bears were trying to trade up to get Trayvon Henderson. That's what it was, right? That they were trying to trade up and get that player, and they didn't. It said this: some inside the league believe the Bears tried to make an early day 2 move, possibly to move up 4 spots to Tennessee's selection at 35, knowing Chicago's legwork on running backs. Ohio State's Trayvon Henderson would have made a lot of sense in that regard, right? So they tried. Now, the running back class in next year's draft is deep as well, right? And so you're not going to get everything you want in every single draft. But that doesn't mean that you still can't get production out of it, right? And we'll see what Kyle Manangai brings. We'll see what DeAndre Swift brings under an improved offensive line. Here's the thing that I'll say. I don't think the offensive line is at a place where we're going to be looking at it and being like, oh my God, we would have just had we would have been the number 1 team in the NFC North had we just got a different running back. I don't think it's that far back, right? Now, of course, a great running attack gets you a little bit over the top for sure, right? But I don't think we're going to be looking at this as something that drastically holds this team back this year. And then it's up to Ryan Poles, much like he shifted focus and focused on the offensive line this offseason. Now that already puts you in a place where next year we know what it's going to be. Well, we know what it's going to be. You have to go out there and get that running back, right? And so we'll see what the Bears can do with that. But overall, I'm not gonna kill them. I'm not gonna hold them back over the fact that they didn't get one of the running backs in this class, because I think they still did a pretty damn good job in this class. We got to, of course, wait and see what it looks like when we get on the football field. But I think they've done a pretty solid job, and that in what they did, and it has the chance to be a great job when you see how these players play. Right, you got a couple of day 1 starters. Right, you got Ozzie Trapillo who can start for you. Right, and it's probably going to start for you day 1. You got Colston Loveland who is going to be, even if he's tight end 2, he's going to be out there for a lot of snaps on day 1 as long as he's healthy, right? He's still going through his rehab process. You got Luther Burden, right? You got these guys that can come in and make huge impacts potentially for your team and on that offensive side of the ball, and that's just what it's about. And we'll see how it all shakes out at that point. It is what it is. If the Bears do decide and make that decision to go out and get a veteran running back, great, right? I'm at the place now where I'm trusting this coaching staff. That's what I'm trying to do overall, is trust the evaluation that this coaching staff and Ben Johnson, Declan Doyle, Eric Bieniemy, what are they seeing out there? And in what they see, I'm trying to trust that because, listen, the change of the identity of this team has been evident. If you don't look at this team, at least now on paper, right? Again, I am not knocking anybody that says, I got to wait and see what it looks like on the football field, because I'm at that place too. But if you can at least acknowledge that on paper, this team has made several steps up, right? In regards just to the talent pool that we have now, I think that you're just, you're blind to facts, and you're an alternative facts. And, it is what it is at that point, right? But I do look at this and say, Kyle Manangai's, his development, I think, could be a part in this. Like, there have been some people that have talked about Kyle Manangai as somebody who could be one of the steals of this draft. I always say one of, because I think there are a lot of steals per where you're drafted at that could end up being, like, for example, I think that a second-round pick could be a steal depending on how good they look by the end of their first year, right? So, but, one of the steals. And, this comes from Coach Shaw, who said this: Kyle embraces the physicality, and trust me, I've sat back and watched those highlights that have been circling around more than I would like to admit, but it's definitely refreshing when you watch it, right? But I think it starts with his preparation. The foundation of all his preparation, right? If you look at him pick up the pass protection, pick up pressures on the drop back passes, he knows who's blitzing before the ball is snapped. It's incredible, right? And I can tell you that's probably about 10 or 15 more blocks that are the highlight-worthy blocks that didn't even make the tape. But one of the things, though, is just like I said, he's smart, he's a student of the game. I've said this multiple times before. If Kyle Manangai, as a 7th-round pick, is even able to come in, and let's say he's able to be one of the backs going forward into your future in a shared backfield, maybe he's not your every down back. Maybe he's not that. But if you're able to even get out of a running back position in the 7th round that's able to be part of your depth there, right? One of the guys that are one of the 2 guys, because it's about every backfield now has 2 guys, if he ends up being a guy that passes up Roschon, right? And then whoever we draft next year, if we do draft a running back next year, I always say if because you just never know. But if you do that, great, right? I think that's tremendous value there at where you got Kyle Manangai at, right? And so overall, like I get the talk around the Bears running back room. I get the concern. I want to be clear as well. I get the concern over the running back room as well. It's not one of those things where I'm looking at it and saying everybody's just bitching, just shut up. No, I get the concern over it for sure. But I do think that like if you go back and look at not just look at box score numbers, right? Not just look at the stat sheet at the end. If you go and look at the tape, if you go and look at how some of the things were held back, like I'm not blaming it completely. DeAndre Swift doesn't run between the tackles well. He doesn't break tackles a whole lot either, right? But if you go back and look at the tape, you can see where an offensive line is going to help improve that production, maybe dramatically. It just comes down to how this coaching staff can coach them up and what they really view it as well. And I think all those things can make a huge turn here for the Chicago Bears when it's all said and done. We just got to wait and see, man. Rumors are rumors. We're in the point of the offseason where there's going to be a lot more talk than what there is in substance. And that's just the place that we're on in the offseason. It happens every year around this time. We talked about the Cole Kmet trade talks yesterday's episode. All those things. There's a lot of noise right now around football because guess what? People are waiting. They're waiting for training camp. They're waiting for mini camps. They're waiting for these things. This is the lull period, right? In the NBA, you go through it between the draft and free agency. Right now, that gap has shortened some. So now it's kind of become between free agency and training camp. But there's always a lull there. Every sport has their lull. We're in that period now for the NFL. And it's really just how you come out and take a look at it, right? But with that said, running back isn't, some people's biggest concerns. Some people's biggest concerns for this Bears team is, did we do enough on the defensive line? And that continues to be a question. I know that, edge, much like running back, was a position that a lot of people were looking at and saying, hey, what are we going to do at the edge? Let's go out and find that edge on the opposite side of Montez Sweat. And the Bears addressed it, but they didn't address it with the name that many Bears fans are familiar with. And that's where I think Dayo Odingbo has the opportunity to really turn some heads for the Chicago Bears. We talked about Shamar Turner a little bit on yesterday's episode. I want to talk about Dayo Odingbo for right now. And I know a lot of Bears fans have looked at this, and they looked at the signing and saying, is he really he didn't play a lot. What is he going to do here? He's not going to come over here and bring anything. And I personally go, and again, I'm somebody that loves to go in and watch tape. That's just what I love to do. I do that in my free time, which is why I may be bringing that over to the playback so we can do that. But I'll say this. I doubt that the Bears gave somebody a contract where in the second year they're going to be making $20 million and they don't want to give them an opportunity at the edge position. Dayo Odingbo at 25 years old, when you look at his per snap production, now I want to be clear here as well. That could be one of the things that's concerning. Per snap production doesn't always mean that it's going to translate once you're playing more snaps for sure. But you look at this guy and what he's been able to do, right? He's never been a starting defensive edge before, but he's played some starting level snaps at times before. But this is a guy that got, in 2023, had 8 sacks. Now, he only had 3 sacks last year and playing all 17 games, but that's another thing. The guy has been healthy. You're talking about 3 straight years of playing all 17 games with the Indianapolis Colts. Now, of course, when you're not the starter, you're able to play more games and hopefully stay healthy. In that case, that's what you want to see. But when you look at Dayo and what he's bringing here, right? 2 passes deflected over the course of his career as well. Like, this is a guy that's forced 5 fumbles over the course of a 4-year career. He's a hard hitter. He's smart. He's versatile in how you can line him up. I really do think that, I get it that the Bears, and, I hear from a lot of people when we're doing these lives or in the comment section, the Bears need to go out and get an edge. They didn't go out and get an edge. I think that Dayo and what the Bears are doing here, taking a calculated risk, as they're known to do, and bringing Dayo, while they have a player like Austin Booker that's on a rookie scale deal and not getting paid a lot of money. And I do think the ultimate plan is still hoping that Austin Booker turns into that starting edge for you long term. But make no mistake about it. When we talk about bringing chaos, hard hitting, abusing offensive linemen, I talked about it with Shamar Turner as well, that Dayo Odingbo has that chance to be that for the Bears. 6'6", 286 pounds. Like I said, only 25 years old. This guy has tons of potential. He's a former second-round pick. This isn't a guy that just, was picked in the 4th or 5th round that ended up working himself into a rotation piece. No, this is a guy that was able to come in and figure a lot out and be productive. Dayo Odingbo is a productive edge. And now coming into this situation where he's going to be a starter for the Chicago Bears unless something goes crazy and maybe Austin Booker comes in there and has a leap in year 2. And if that's the case, if Austin Booker makes a leap in year 2 to where he comes in here being the starter, I think we're cooking at that point, because that means that they added Dayo Odingbo and he's going to be a crazy depth piece. But we know that Austin Booker was raw, right? And we knew that. But when you look at overall what he's doing, Dayo's biggest issue is the run game. And I'm not going to make him seem out to be a perfect edge. No, he leaves some to be desired in run defense. But I think when you look at the other players that we have on the offensive line, it's a little bit of a concern as well that Trayvon Dexter, one of his problems as well is run defense when you're looking at what he's lacking and bringing so far. But Dayo, despite, all the things that we named out here, was in the top third of the league as far as edge at solo tackles. He was 28th in assisted tackles. That's overall in 211 qualified edge rushers in that game, right? So 54th in stops, 69th in sacks, 43rd in hurries, 8th. He was 8th in QB hits. So just think about that. 42nd in total pressures. All I'm saying is that I can understand in the 746 snaps that he played, and you look at what he's done, I understand why the Bears may feel a little bit of confidence in wanting to see what he can bring here, right? Especially while you have guys like Daniel Hardy, Austin Booker that are still developing, that you still see very highly on what they can turn into for you as well. That's where this team sits at right now, right? And I think overall that's going to be clearly pass rush is where he's going to excel at, right? And you hope that he can grow as a run defender as well. That's where you have your coaching staff in here. But I think when you're talking about this offensive line bringing pressure, bringing chaos, and like I said yesterday, putting motherfuckers in the dirt. That's really what I want to see from this defensive line. Can you put motherfuckers in the dirt? Dayo Odingbo has the chance to bring that. And I think also, he's already said his excitement to play opposite side of Montez Sweat. Having that big body there, that's going to help that. Now, you're going to have to question, even overall in the defensive line, you're going to have to question how often are you going to double team Montez Sweat. This isn't going to be what you were able to do last year, because you're going to have Dayo. Trayvon Dexter's hopefully is going to make another step. You got Grady Jarrett there now. Andrew Billings, who was your starter, is now a depth piece. You got Shamar Turner coming there as well. Daniel Hardy, Austin Booker backing those guys up. I tell you what, this defensive line, it may not have the name recognition. That's something that I really, in me doing the show, I really hope that we can help Bears fans and football fans overall realize it's not always about the name that you have. It's about the style. It's about the production. It's about what you can get. And it's not always just about the name. Dayo Odingbo may not be a name that everybody was familiar with before he signed with the Chicago Bears. But the goal here is not necessarily to get the biggest name. It's to get players that are right for your system, that can come in and be productive, and that can bring what you need them to bring. And I think that Dayo, much like the running back room, that has a chance to really shine and surprise some people this year, I think Dayo is going to be a name that a lot of Bears fans are going to look back and look and say, we got this guy for what? This guy was sitting where? That's the opportunity that he has here under Dennis Allen, under the Chicago Bears defense. And I think that this defense is, like I've said it multiple times, they have taken on paper as of right now, the identity of their coordinator in Dennis Allen. Now, their job is to go out there and put it all out on the football field. And I tell you what, we have a lot of tough motherfuckers on this defense. Excuse my French. You got TJ Edwards still there. Tremaine, I hope he really does improve. Tremaine if he wants to stay here, and I think either way, he's a cut candidate next year. But you look at Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker if he can stay healthy, right? Of course, Kyler Gordon, who's going to have tremendous ability here to be here. Look at some of the guys that we brought in as UDFAs, Tasheem Johnson, Major Burns. Like, these guys are going to have huge opportunities this year. I think that this defense is going to be and start having the makings of, again, looking like a fucking Chicago Bears defense. We got to remember who the hell we are. Let's go put some bodies in the dirt. That's my time for today. Make sure you guys are following us at Shy Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.